Drama at 30,000 feet. On board a plane, we find the Pope, the US President, the UK Prime Minister, and a schoolboy. With a shocking twist, the plane is about to crash. Only 3 parachutes are available. The Prime Minister, in a panic, declares, "I need a parachute. I've got to keep running the government." Without a second thought, he snags a parachute and leaps into the unknown. Next, the President, equally alarmed, announces, "I need a parachute. I've got to keep running the country." He follows suit, grabbing a parachute and jumping from the plane. Left behind, the Pope turns to the schoolboy, offering him the final parachute. "You take the last parachute. I've already lived my life." But the schoolboy grins, revealing a twist. "There's no need, sir. The President took my backpack." Quite the turn of events, wouldn't you say? Imagine this. A guy and his date, parked on a secluded back road far from town, engaging in the timeless dance of romance. As passions flare, the girl halts the proceedings. "I really should have mentioned this earlier," she confesses. "I'm actually a hooker and I charge $20 for sex." The guy, taken aback, reluctantly parts with his money and they resume their intimate encounter. Once their business concludes, he lights a cigarette, leans back in his driver's seat and gazes out the window. "Why aren't we going anywhere?" the girl questions, puzzled. "Well," he replies, the hint of a smirk on his face. "I should have mentioned this before, but I'm actually a taxi driver and the fare back to town is $25. Imagine a frog named Kermit Jagger hopping into a bank for a loan. The teller, Patty, is taken aback. "A frog asking for a loan? Unheard of." Kermit reassures her, producing a priceless heirloom, a tiny ceramic elephant. He drops a name, claiming his father is none other than Mick Jagger. Perplexed, Patty calls her manager. Explaining the peculiar situation, she presents the small elephant and the frog's claim. The manager, exasperated, rolls his eyes and lets out a sigh. His words? "Oh, for God's sake, it's a knick-knack paddywhack, give the frog a loan. His old man is a rolling stone." A frog, a bank, a priceless elephant, and the punchline of a lifetime. That's the story of Kermit Jagger's bank adventure. Driving home after a grueling day of training, a circus performer is pulled over by a police officer. The reason? A broken light. The officer peers into the car only to discover a startling collection of knives in the back seat. "Sir," he questions, "why do you have all those knives?" The performer coolly replies, "They're for my juggling act." Skeptical, the cop challenges, "I don't believe you. Prove it." Rising to the occasion, the performer steps out, launching into a flawless knife juggling act. Meanwhile, a car drives by, 2 men inside. One exclaims, "Wow, I'm glad I quit drinking. These new sobriety tests are hard." Imagine this. A man discovers an old brass lamp on a sandy beach. Curious, he picks it up, gives it a rub, and voila, a genie appears in a burst of multicolored smoke. "For freeing me," the genie begins, "I offer you 3W. But the man interrupts. "I know, 3 wishes. I wish for $200 billion free and clear." The genie complies, adding, "Whatever you wish for, your worst enemy will receive double." Unfazed, the man, now wealthy, wishes his enemy to inherit half his estate upon his demise. Touched by his generosity, the genie asks for his 3rd wish. The man, reflecting on past mistakes, requests to be beaten half to death. A witty twist on an old tale, wouldn't you say? Picture this. A brisk morning around 7:45, a grocery store bustling with eager senior citizens, awaiting the 8 o'clock opening. Suddenly, a young man strides from the parking lot, attempting to bypass the queue. But oh no, he didn't foresee the feisty old lady, armed with her cane, driving him back to the parking lot. Undeterred, the young man returns, only to be met by an old man's fist to his gut and a swift kick, rolling him away. Braving a 3rd approach, the young man implores, "If you don't permit me to unlock the door, none of you are getting in." A morning grocery run or a comedy of errors? You decide. Enter the wildlife officer gliding alongside, eyes keen on the fish-filled bucket. "Fishing license, please," he demands. The man, with a wink and a smirk, retorts, "No need for one, sir." The officer, perplexed, points at the bucket. "But you have live fish. Clearly you've been fishing." The man nonchalantly responds, "Oh, those. They're my pet fish, just enjoying a day out on the lake." "Pet fish?" the officer echoes, disbelief lacing his words. "Indeed," the man assures, "I let them swim, and at the sound of my whistle they leap back into the bucket." Intrigued, the officer challenges, "Well, I've got to see this." The man, with a shrug, empties the fish into the lake, then calmly turns to the officer. "All right, call them back." the officer commands. Call who back? The man asks, feigning innocence. Your pet fish, the officer insists. What fish? Quips the man, leaving the officer dumbfounded. Imagine this. A woman, worried about her husband's temper, seeks advice from a doctor. Every day, my husband seems to lose his temper for no reason, she confesses. The doctor, with a thoughtful expression, suggests an unconventional cure. When your husband gets angry, take a glass of water and start swishing it in your mouth. He instructs. Continue until he either leaves the room or calms down. 2 weeks later, the woman returns, appearing rejuvenated. Your method worked wonders, doctor, she exclaims. Whenever my husband lost his temper, I swished and swished, and he would calm right down. But how does a glass of water do that? The doctor, with a knowing smile, replies, the water itself does nothing. It's keeping your mouth shut that does the trick. A witty reminder that sometimes silence can be the best solution. Imagine this. A man pokes his head into a bustling barbershop inquiring, how long before I can get a haircut? The barber, scanning his packed shop, replies, about 2 hours. Without a word, the man disappears. Days later, the same scenario. The man checks in, the barber says 2 hours, and the man vanishes. A week passes and the man returns. This time the barber estimates an hour and a half, and like clockwork, the man leaves. Intrigued, the barber asks his friend Bill to tail the mysterious customer. Bill returns, barely containing his laughter. Where did he go? asks the barber. Grinning, Bill reveals, to your house. In a bustling bar, an interesting conversation unfolds. What's the Wi-Fi password? A voice inquires. The bartender, with a knowing smirk, replies, you need to buy a drink first. Undeterred, the voice responds, all right, I'll have a Coke. The bartender, not missing a beat, says, $3. Money exchanges hands and the voice, now slightly impatient, asks again, so what's the Wi-Fi password? The bartender, with a chuckle, delivers the punchline. It's, you need to buy a drink first. No spaces, all lowercase. A moment of silence, then laughter fills the air. Cue the curious case of two former US presidents, George W. Bush and Bill Clinton. Both men, known for their unique blend of wit and wisdom, decided to pen their life stories. Bush, ever the patriot, titled his biography, The Three Most Powerful Men, Bush, Dick and Colin. A clever play on words, wouldn't you agree? This title artfully alludes to his own name, along with those of his Vice President, Dick Cheney, and Secretary of State, Colin Powell. On the other hand, we have Clinton. Ever the charmer, he took a more risque approach with his title, Sex Between the Bushes, a tongue-in-cheek reference to his presidential term falling between the two Bush presidencies. We'll let you decide. 2 presidents, 2 biographies, 2 intriguing titles. It's a testament to the power of words and the personalities behind them. One thing is certain, politics has never been more entertaining. Imagine this. A grand gathering, an assembly of the world's most influential figures. Among them, the Pope and Donald Trump. A quiet wager ensues. The Pope, with a twinkle in his eye, whispers, Mr. Trump, I wager $100 that a single wave of my hand can whip this crowd into an ecstatic frenzy. A celebration unlike any you've seen before. Trump, ever the skeptic, laughs softly. One wave of your hand? I'd happily relieve you of your $100. Proceed. With a swift motion, the Pope delivers a resounding slap. The crowd? They go absolutely bananas. $100 bet, one wave of a hand, and a moment that will be remembered. The Pope, ladies and gentlemen, knows how to play the game. In a turn of events last night, a fire engulfed Trump's personal library, creating quite the spectacle. In what's being dubbed a major calamity, both of his books were lost to the flames. Despite the extensive collection, it appears that only one book had been graced with his attention, colored in with meticulous detail. The other, untouched, was yet to experience the stroke of his coloring prowess. As the smoke clears, we're left to ponder the potential masterpieces that could have been. Today we mourn not just the loss of 2 books, but the unfinished symphony of color that was yet to be. Imagine this. A woman boards a bus, cradling her precious baby. The bus driver, lacking all decorum, declares, "Oh, that's the ugliest baby I've ever seen." The woman, understandably fuming, retreats to the bus's rear and takes a seat. She turns to the man beside her, revealing her distress. "The driver just insulted me." The man, in all seriousness, encourages her. "You should march right up there and give him a piece of your mind," he offers with a straight face. "Go on, I'll hold your monkey for you." The punchline, The man mistook the baby for a monkey, adding an unexpected twist to an already awkward situation. Ah, young love, always full of surprises. Picture this. A teenager brings her new beau home for the first time. His style? Not exactly what her parents had in mind. Wild hair, tattoos sprawling across his arms, piercings glinting under the lights. The mother, taken aback, privately addresses her daughter. "Dear, he doesn't seem to be a very nice boy." The daughter, quick to defend, retorts, "Oh please, Mom. If he wasn't nice, would he be doing 500 hours of community service?" Picture this. Two Hollywood stars collide at the door of their psychiatrist's office. One, with an arched brow, greets the other. "Hello there." A pause hangs in the air. The question follows, "Are you coming or going?" The other star, with a dry laugh, retorts, "If I knew that, I wouldn't be here." Picture this. A classic case of mistaken identity. John, with an earnest expression, turns to Helen. "Your mother has been with us for 20 years, he says. "Isn't it time she got a place of her own?" Helen looks at him, puzzled. "My mother?" she replies. "I thought she was your mother." A moment of silence, then laughter. A humorous tale by Joseph Lozano. Picture a web browser with 19 tabs open, 17 are frozen. Can't find where the music is coming from. That's Joe Biden for you. A bit like Russia, some might say, given neither seems to respect boundaries. Ever wondered what Biden says to young girls as he leaves the room? "Smell you later." He's made it clear his kids won't have offices in the White House. That's probably because he won't either. And why doesn't he visit children with cancer in hospitals? He can't sniff their hair. Funny story about my conservative grandmother. Huge Trump fan. Yet this year, her mail-in ballot was cast for Biden. She would have never done that if she was still alive. Biden's greatest fear of catching COVID, losing his sense of smell, his favorite arcade game, Space Invaders. And if you ever hear him sing the alphabet, don't be surprised if he pauses after P. "I don't remember the rest," he'll say. "Nor can I sing, but that doesn't matter. You know the thing." Imagine this. A flight from Delhi to New York City, packed with over 400 passengers. But oh no, a mix-up at the airport means only 200 meals have been loaded. The crew realize this too late, already soaring above the clouds. A daunting dilemma, isn't it? But wait, a clever flight attendant sees a silver lining. A few hours into the journey, she bravely announces, "Ladies and gentlemen, we've hit a snag. We have 400 of you, but only 200 dinners." Yet there's a twist. Anyone willing to sacrifice their meal will receive unlimited free liquor for the rest of the flight. 6 hours later, she returns to the speaker. "If anyone's reconsidering, we still have a whopping 180 dinners left. Talk about turning a crisis into an opportunity." In the heart of a perilous gorge, a climber slips, tumbling down a cliff face. His fall abruptly stops as he clings desperately to a small branch. His voice echoes, "Help! Is there anybody up there?" A powerful, majestic voice resonates through the chasm. "I will help you, my son, but first you must have faith in me." Frantic, the man cries, "Yes, yes, I trust you." "Let go of the branch," the voice reverberates. Then silence. A pause that feels like an eternity stretches out. Finally, the man's voice pierces the quiet again. "Is there anybody else up there?" A tale of faith, trust, and a dash of witty humor. A reminder that sometimes the leap of faith can be the hardest part. In a stern courtroom, a judge questions an ex-wife. "Why do you believe you warrant custody of the child?" She responds, "I brought him into this world, hence I should have his custody." The judge acknowledges, "A simple yet substantial reason." Then the gaze of the judge shifts to the ex-husband. "Why do you believe you deserve the child's custody, sir?" The ex-husband contemplates before responding, "If I deposit money into a Pepsi machine and a Pepsi pops out, does it belong to me or the machine?" Picture this. Donald Trump, strolling through Manhattan, spots a long queue. Intrigued, he decides to join. As people turn and recognize him, they leave the line, allowing him to inch closer to the front. Curious, he asks a man about to depart, "Wait a second, what is this queue for and why are you now leaving it?" The man responds, "This is the queue for Canadian immigration visas, but if you are getting one, I don't need one now." A moment of humor amidst the hustle and bustle of city life. Picture this. An 8-year-old boy, silent as the morning fog, never uttering a single word. His silence, a mystery that puzzled all. Then, one afternoon as he sat eating his lunch, he broke his silence. "The soup is cold," he declared. His mother, astonished, breathless, asked, "Son, I've waited so long to hear you speak, but all these years you never said a thing. Why haven't you spoken before?" With a calmness that belied his years, the boy looked at her and replied, "Up until now, everything has been satisfactory. A simple story, a profound lesson. Sometimes silence speaks volumes, and satisfaction needs no words." Imagine a man driving down the road stopped by a policeman. The officer, intrigued, asks, "Why are these penguins in your truck?" The man, unfazed, replies, "These are my penguins, they belong to me." The officer, insistent on protocol, advises, "You need to take them to the zoo." Fast forward to the next day, the same officer, the same man, the same penguins. But a twist, the penguins are now sporting sunglasses. The officer, puzzled, exclaims, "I thought I told you to take these penguins to the zoo." The man, as cool as his flippered friends, retorts, "I did, and today I'm taking them to the beach." A delightful tale of penguins, police, and the beach. A story to remember, wouldn't you agree? Cue the chuckles, folks. During a recent password audit, a certain blonde was found using a rather lengthy password. And what was it? Mickey, Minnie, Pluto, Huey, Lowie, Dewey, Donald, Goofy, Sacramento. Quite the mouthful, isn't it? Now you might ask, why such an extensive password? Well, here's the punchline. When questioned, she revealed she was instructed that her password had to be at least 8 characters long and include at least 1 capital. Seems she took the advice quite literally, doesn't she? Mickey, Minnie, Pluto, Huey, Louie, Dewey, Donald, Goofy. That's certainly 8 characters. And Sacramento is definitely a capital. Well, that's one way to remember your password. And who said security couldn't be fun? Stay safe, folks, and remember to keep your password secure. And maybe just a touch shorter. Cue the humor, folks. Picture this. A patient walks into a doctor's office complaining, "Doctor, my bum hurts." The doctor, ever the professional, asks, "Where specifically does it hurt?" The patient responds, "Right around the entrance." Now, here's the punchline. The doctor, with a straight face, says, "Yeah, well, that's the exit. As long as you think it's an entrance, it'll continue to hurt." End scene. A little reminder to all of us, sometimes life's discomforts come from simple misunderstandings. And remember, laughter is the best medicine. Until next time. In a quaint little barber shop, a barber whispers to his customer, "Behold, the world's most clueless kid." He beckons the boy, presenting a choice, a dollar bill or 2 quarters. The boy, without hesitation, picks the quarters and departs. The barber smirks. "Just as I said, he never catches on." As the customer steps out, he spots the same boy emerging from an ice cream parlor. Curiosity piqued, he asks, "Why did you choose the quarters over the dollar bill?" With a lick of his ice cream cone, the boy grins. "Once I choose the dollar, the game's up." Endearing, isn't it? The wisdom of innocence can often outsmart the cunning of age. Picture this. A classroom, a sarcastic teacher with the wit of a fox, and a room full of students. The teacher, her voice dripping with irony, asks, "If there are any idiots in the room, will they please stand up?" The silence stretches on. The tension mounts. Finally, a brave freshman stands up. The teacher, her sneer widening, questions, "Now then, mister, why do you consider yourself an idiot?" The room holds its breath, awaiting the freshman's response. With a calm voice, he replies, "Well, actually I don't, but I hate to see you standing up there all by yourself." A moment of stunned silence. Then the classroom erupts in laughter. That's right, folks. Sometimes the underdog has the last laugh. Picture this. A cruise ship, a magician, and a parrot. Each night the magician dazzles with his tricks, his piece de resistance, making his pet parrot vanish, then reappear. Intrigued, a crew member asks the secret. The magician nonchalantly reveals misdirection. He simply switches the parrot when no one's looking. Intrigued, the crew member decides to try his hand at the talent show. On stage, parrot perched on his shoulder, he declares, "Prepare for amazement as I make this parrot disappear." He mimics the magician's actions, but the parrot remains, squawking and flapping. Flustered, he addresses the crowd. "Well, this is awkward. Seems my parrot didn't get the memo. Perhaps he's not a fan of misdirection." A reminder that magic requires more than just knowing the trick. In a not-so-ordinary pet store, a sign catches a man's eye. "Talking cat, $20. Intrigued, he questions the owner, who directs him towards a feisty feline lounging nonchalantly. "This cat," he says, "is quite the conversationalist." Skeptical but curious, the man asks the cat, "Can you talk?" The feline's response is smooth as silk. "Naturally, I'm not just about chit-chat. We can delve into philosophy, literature, even current events." Testing the cat's claim, the man is astounded by the cat's insightful and witty remarks. The allure proves too strong. He purchases the talking cat on the spot. Settling in at home, the man asks for the cat's perspective on the meaning of life. The cat pauses, looks at him and retorts, "Well, it's certainly not paying $20 for a talking cat, I can assure you." In a twist of humor, a young man saunters into a library ordering a cheeseburger, fries and a Coke. The librarian, her eyebrows arched in surprise, reminds him, "Sir, this is a library." Undeterred, the young man leans in, lowering his voice to a hushed whisper, "I'm sorry, I'll have a cheeseburger, fries and a Coke." Growing irritated, the librarian repeats, "Sir, I must emphasize that this is a library. We don't serve food here." The young man, with a mischievous twinkle in his eyes, looks around and says, "Oh, my bad, I must have walked into the wrong place." He tiptoes out, finger against his lips, shushing the imaginary clamor of a bustling restaurant. A playful reminder of the quiet sanctity of libraries, and a nod to our universal love for a good cheeseburger. A man saunters into a bar, eyes a pint-sized piano on the counter. "What's this little spectacle?" he inquires. The bartender's lips curl into a smirk. "That, my friend, is the world's tiniest piano maestro. Try it, it's extraordinary." A dollar bill hits the counter. And lo and behold, a minute man in a tux materializes, his fingers dancing across the keys, creating enchanting melodies. The man applauds, awestruck. "How did you find such a mini maestro?" he questions. The bartender gestures towards an ancient lamp. "Magic lamp, one wish per rub." The man eagerly rubs the lamp and a genie emerges. "One wish, choose wisely." Without missing a beat, the man declares, "I want $1,000,000. Quacks echo, ducks flood the bar. "I asked for bucks, not ducks." The bartender chuckles. "Did you think I wished for a 12-inch pianist?" Imagine walking into a pet store, seeking a low-maintenance, inexpensive pet. The owner suggests a talking centipede. Intrigued? Of course. The centipede, surprisingly affordable at $50, becomes the newest family member. Awaiting its first words, days turn into a waiting game. Finally, the question is asked, "Will you ever talk?" The centipede quips back, "I was just putting on my shoes." Laughter ensues. Turns out this centipede's not just a talker but also a singer. Friends are invited over to witness this spectacle. Their skepticism quickly turns into amazement as the centipede belts out "Sweet Home Alabama." The catch? Sometimes it's hard to get him to stop singing. A noisy yet entertaining new pet indeed.